Thank you, Trace. Now, Avangard, that was an interesting interview from Adren, saying he didn't really prepare for Simon, so maybe they were kind of sandbagging almost by accident. Anyway, En's going to have something to do with on the B-bomb, but when everyone with Kessler, they have a kill though. They're doing well so far with Sergey getting 2 kills to hold down this bomb site. 3 players around the pillar now for the T's, and they don't really have any angles. Crossfires are great for N to name it through the single player.
Yeah, and the whole dynamic with the LXCB is really interesting because there's been quite a few times where we've seen that players knowing that they've been pulled in, you know, just to play at the major, or they're going to be cut after the major and so on and so forth. And there's been quite a few cases where that player has actually overperformed massively during the major. So I wonder if that will be the case for LXCB, because that would be really, obviously make ends extremely dangerous. But either way, into the second round, and Vanguard have chosen not to really invest. We've got a P250 and a flashbang, so objective is just a kill or 2 would be absolutely fine in this position. And then they understand, I don't know if they understand the tendencies of the Vanguard, but you can see they've actually favored UMPs mostly here, and there's the M4, so they're pretty light on utility, so really thinking about that third round.
Oh, Sanji seemed distracted, it seemed. Looking the wrong way. Nice angle for Alu. Always difficult to pull yourself out of the connected position and go back towards the toilet. Sometimes if your teammates have short B, it's a better route to rotate to a position further back. But Ents will hold their position for now. Sergey has Alu's back in terms of the above connector. He's in divider at the moment. Got Avangard using some utility to make their way into the toilets from long. Now they're looking for close quarters engagement, as you can see. At this point they have a P250 and 3 sets of Glocks. A leg was spotted. He's a leg man, Alu. He's looking for more.
There we go. Alu will be spotting Adren, tagging him up. So they're fairly boxed in at the moment. There's not really much that the Vanguard can do. They are stuck in the long ranges as well. If they were to make their way towards that A bomb site, there's a huge long channel to do it. That's not ideal. So they'll reroute themselves towards the bathrooms, which is of course a little bit. Oh, hello. I think they're from Buster, but their fate is obviously inevitable. Oh, there you go. So that's the objective. Actually met. There's no way Jane gets a bomb here. Good effort. 1 kill. Now we get into the real Counter-Strike.
The nitty-gritty, as they say.
Yes.
See what Avangard have to offer and what Ents choose to do with their SMGs. Might handicap them to, let's say, being in connector, making a short B play, for example. But we've seen all the upgrades actually. X7 holding onto his UMP, but beyond that we've got a French gun for LXCB, which I think was in the previous round, and then the AWP for Alu, Sergey and Ariel on M4A4 and M4A1 respectively. I think from the stats I saw of the weapons that were bought, I think it was about 90% M4A4 and 10% M4A1, just between those two, which some people will have a problem with, but there's no particular reason that needs to be 50-50. Oh, there's a clue. He hears a collision, not shy to go for the peak, he's got some information, but 4v4 for Avangard with 1:30 on the clock.
However, Ents have the advantage on information. They already know what's going on. They've got Sergey very, very deep, and obviously Alu is still in control. Here comes the push, so Ents ready for this. Kill, so Ariel himself a double, lacking the bullets, lacking the health now, as we see a 2 versus 2 as the rotation will come in. Sergey from the monster tunnel, he knows about it. Great read there coming from Adren. I think he may even have heard a step or 2. And now it's Alu in the 1 versus 2 on the AWP. The smoke will be annoying, but that will go away rather quickly. As we can see, it begins to dissipate. Now he can get a look in. However, what can he do to bait out these players? Because they don't have any argument to peek him. He has to go committed with this AWP. He's going to risk all of it. He misses the first shot, and with another headshot. Beautiful round from him. 4 kills. He is starting off very well today.
Alu had no kit towards the end there, but I would presume that there was communicated there was probably one on the site. It's an assumption I will make because it was fairly ticked. And it's nice to see Adren starting off well. I do want him moving into Avangard if some of the positions he's playing on the CT side, for example, are ones he's not used to, and if that will develop and improve over time. It was interesting, just like an example of Pro CS versus what you're doing at home. I forget who it was around the pillar for Ents, who traded a kill for their teammate, but didn't realise it wasn't the person who killed his teammate to begin with. You don't waste time to check the kill feed, or that's why communication is so important, because the guy who's dead has to say that's not the guy. There's another one. Anti-eco time for broken early. That's a rifle they could collect unless the drone can protect it. Keep this here, Sanji. All of the USP is the last man to fall. 2-2 for Avangard. So again, going back to that interview with Adren, talking about the game, the Simon Gaming game, saying they didn't really, I guess you were saying they didn't really focus on counter-stratting, they were focusing on their own developed strats and just playing their own game, as he said a few times. But I do wonder if we will see more than that. I think more than that may be required for someone to get a victory in some of these games in this segment of the tournament. Now we've got a second sniper for Ents.
Yeah, definitely the natural progression. Avangard have always been really comfortable in this map. I've seen them during Astralis' era giving Astralis a run for their money a few times on Overpass. So they are not lacking a solid and well-developed playbook on Overpass, so they are not to be trifled with, not to be underestimated, and they have opted to play a much slower default here with 3 players now making their way towards the long position. Ali's been blinded before the push was visible, so he doesn't really know what that flash means. That could just be a run-of-the-mill flashbang, doesn't know how many players are actually behind that. Sergey is, of course, on high alert. Here, the beautiful from Sergey, absolutely fantastic! And he gets another one out of it. That should have been guaranteed for Kikert. But no, Sergey too strong, and that's crippled this round for Avangard.
That deserved that round of applause, damn it. That was excellent. Sanji and Jane remain. Great way to answer a difficult round by Ents again. Looking at their money, they need to survive in the numbers. This is a common jump peak, or just looking the wrong way. James gets watching now, so that will limit his options. He's the only man alive, so look at the radar. You see, they know exactly where he is, so they know how much real estate they can take. So you've got X7 rotating beyond T-spawn to close any saving situations. James got his frag. That'll create some space for himself. Again, he's basically hiding in plain sight here, but every time he's seen, he's moving a little closer. The options to save become a little bit smaller. A lot tougher.
Oof. Getting damage is really important. And it's not that bad to die there either, considering that Buster was on $0 at the beginning of that round, and all the money was a little bit weird. I think had he survived with that AWP, that of course they would have forced it up around it, but it would have looked a little strange. Either way, Jane will be back on the AWP in this next round, and here's Sergey really just shutting it down completely. This is really beautiful. Kika really needed to get that kill.
Yeah, that was excellent. I think Jane was, his job at that point when he's the only man alive is to do as much damage as possible to play for the long run. Try and maim the economy, weaken it, make it brittle. Only the one kill though. So we have an aggression, or a counter-aggression if you will, towards short B. You can see Kika on X-ray starting to creep. So it's not looking to fight to the death here. A few bullets and some grenades will come over the top. Seems he won't peek behind it. Ooh, it's a cheeky peek from Jane. One of the older jump peeks we used to see on a T side. Not often you see an AWP try and catch a cheeky frag though around somebody towards divider. Normally you see that position smoked off and the Molotov over from the fountain to divider to force the CTs from their position.
Oh, what do we have here? Okay, here's the bait, run boost bait for James to go for the peak. So you can see that Avangard are really trying to do absolutely everything they can. They've got a lot of little tactics to use at their disposal in order to gain control of the map. And 45 seconds remaining now, and they've only just gotten half of the bathrooms under control. They've of course got Kika quite deep here towards the sewers, trying to keep players towards that B bomb site and keep the option alive of going back for a B rotation if it doesn't go well towards A. But that's a great pick off from James. I think there was a smoke up as well, so I'm not sure if that was a... Oh, I think he got that actually from the banana position. So, pressing the same bomb site, and here Avangard go.
19 seconds wants to plant the bomb. They need to control the track position if they're going to get this plant. But Asanji was carrying the bomb. He's going to go out 13 seconds, and they've got to deal with Alu. They have to deal with Alu. And that's one way to do it. And Vanguard's running for the CTs to stop a bomb plant, and they are really out of position. This limits their options. Right, let's go at Vanguard, but they've got so many lasers. It would be surely suicide for them to try and make their way into the site. That was really interesting. I was watching Sanji on the radar carrying the bomb. He kept looking towards the B bomb site, and he was around that kind of entrance to connector, going back and forth as they were discussing their options. But they eventually went towards the A bomb site. For those of you in GoTV, I would recommend Sergey. Easy pick since he's had a really good start, but I think the position he's playing and the timing of how he moves back and plays off of his teammates is something that people can learn from. So in this half at the very least, he's my GoTV pick.
So Ents have deciding to drop 2 guns and to go for a force buy with Alu perhaps being the guy that will likely play UMP or something similar. Maybe they'll play a bit more aggressively around the connector position. We'll have to see exactly what the plan is for them. Actually, instead of opting for UMP, he goes for the shotgun. So I think I was right about one thing, which is that he's going to play aggressively towards the connector. I think that's pretty much the only spot you really want to be starting the round off with a auto shotgun with. So we'll see how that goes for Ents. But of course, Vanguard have done a really good job in keeping their economy low, and Ents are really going to be desperate to pick up this round, lest the Vanguard get a huge advantage. And the Vanguard are playing pretty slow to begin with, taking Fountain tentatively. A quick peek towards sewers as well. So Ents really trying to get that information. Here goes Sergey. He's protecting Alu, who's in connector in this position.
This is an interesting setup from Sergey because that's a beautiful pick from him. Did they see that jump in on a previous round? Because in a position like that, a forward position, you'd expect him to be playing off a sniper by divider or something like that. But that seems very, very scary indeed. But maybe he knew something we didn't. Once again, Ents starting to crush around versus Avangard. 5 versus 2. Another multi-frag for Sergey. But again, if you look at the old MIBR strats and how they used to have a 2-man setup with Fallen around the toilets, you used to see various different angles from the CT with the rifle next to the other side of connector, for example. That was very forward position, but that looks like a hard read versus Avangard. And they're going to have to change their game now. That's going to really make them not want to make that play again. I'd be surprised if they went for it once more without some kind of change. But if they do make that change, then they'll be playing to their opponent and not playing their own game, as Adren was saying. So that'll be interesting. Still plenty of rounds to go in this half. And 2 versus 5. What will they choose to do? Not much, it seems.
Really enjoyed the double peek in connector. After that, double from Sergey. That's the basics done very well. But Ents, you know, they really became known for not necessarily having individual superstars when they first made their run at the previous major, but really it was, I think, the team play and team cohesion that really shone. And it's, you know, there's those like fundamentals like that, like these perfectly timed and spaced, you know, peaks together that are something that of beauty from the likes of Ents. And now Vanguard, as mentioned, are in a position where perhaps they'll have to change a few things. This is a nice little exploit, as James said. You know, you wonder if they spotted that boost previously and wanted to try to punish it if Vanguard went for it again. Now Vanguard will have to be a bit more diligent in making sure that there's no one close to that position if they want to try that. And Ents have opted to play somewhat passively here, not going for an aggression anywhere. Seeing what Vanguard are going to do in response to such a crushing round. And it looks like Vanguard have switched things up. They'll take over connector early on, and they've not really developed any control towards the fountain or party area just yet.
There are 3 guys deep in the toilets for Ents. They're changing up their CT setup. Always important, so you don't get counter-stracted, but this is a very different setup to what we've seen before. Avangard, however, moving into position for a split of the B bomb site. Now we've got Buster keeping them honest. He's just lurking around the playground, making sure there's no flank. We saw the information plays from Ents in prior rounds where they were that deep. But it seems Vanguard are looking for a response. They're not quite committing to anything. The bomb is in a very non-committal position. Sanji, once again, the man to pick it up. Carrying a MAC-10 this time. Now we've got the initial grenades. That flash takes people off the angle towards the divider. Some people throw it off the light, which is a little awkward. The wall seems a lot more simpler and consistent. Look at the shadow. Easy warning for Sergey. Sees it all day, and there's no response to be had.
Yeah, so many free kills. Okay. Sanji, they go for the trade out Alexi and Sergey, but they get so crushed there. That was so convincing from Ents. Kika will get a frag, but at this point it's more or less just trying to impact the economy of Ents. It would be nice if he could possibly find a way to do it, but might get backstabbed here. Aerial, or rather, Sergey creeping his way. Ooh, Sergey had all day for that one. It's a little bit hairy, but gets it done in the end.
What's sick about all those peaks, all the angles Ents were holding, if there's no pop flash from Avangard, Ents get a warning. Every angle they were holding has a shadow advantage. The shadow of the T's is spotted. Look at the floor here. Plenty of warning. That just makes it a lot easier. First kill for Alexi B, same situation. And if you go far away from the wall, as you normally would, you'd be exposed down long. So that's a rough spot for Avangard. No flashbang. And again, we spoke about Ents changing their CT setup. You put that in with no warning, and it just devastates the round. And that's like the third round Ents have won in devastating fashion. Now Avangard are on pistols, and it's a completely different setup again for Ents. Once more, it's Sergey the man inside the toilet to have a judgment as to when to start to move back. And they move back early, Ents. So they've got a handle on the economy of Avangard. They're going to play maximum range and abuse the range of these rifles versus these pistols.
Yeah, it's starting to look desperate for Avangard. As you say, Ents have so many solid setups to go to. It's not like they're picking setups that, okay, no, this is to specifically counter something Avangard are doing, but and it's generally weak unless they do this thing. Now, they have all kinds of very effective variations that can deal with a variety of different approaches from the T side. So you can't quite predict what they'll do. And you can, by running your defaults, just run into stuff like that. So Avangard are almost put in this position now where they have to almost give up going for a default and just try to get at least onto a bomb. Find a way to at least do damage to the economy of Ents. Ents are really crushing these rounds when Avangard play defaults, or strict defaults. So we'll see if there is some kind of a mix-up in approach from Avangard now to go a bit more aggressive. We might even a fast B play or B set piece coming in from them. Sometimes it's nice just have a bit of breathing room where you don't have to just fight for every ounce of the map in these like 1v1 situations where you're pop flashing every single corner, and it's nice to have that aggression and just get onto a bomb site that a set piece on the B side can give you on this map. But they'll take a tactical, and they'll likely trying to isolate, where the real problems are and the direction they'll be taking forward and get on the same page in this pause that they have taken.
One problem is Sanji's not on the scoreboard just yet. He has been taking the worst weapons in some of these rounds, though, must be said. One round he was, like he's a bomb carrier, so I think he's the guy in the back, not giving that bomb information, sometimes with a MAC-10, not ideal situation for him. Sergey is devastating these guys at the moment, holding down that position ahead of the toilets. And I put Ents in my pick'ems, and some people were asking me why, they have a significant roster change that's been confirmed already. I've got weird sounds in my ears. That's been confirmed already, but the thing is, they're still a very solid team. If you look at their results, apart from their 0-3 versus Liquid, for me, there's little reason why they shouldn't proceed. I think, considering the nature of the team, being run by Natu and so on, they've got Red Bull on their jerseys. They're not going to come in here just to not do anything. We've got a lot of activity around. Oh, he just doesn't see Sergey. Good angle from him, taking the place value this time. Are indeed close to the side, but one by one they try and make these entries, and they're getting shut down by Ents. Big advantages, and again, Avangard don't really have any position, and there's no presence towards A, so what can they really do here?
Yeah, another spot where they're in a lot of trouble. They tried to get towards that B-bomb side, just not working out. Ents have such good basics. It's such a beautiful thing to watch when you see a team that just has incredible skill and refined fundamentals like Ents do, and have that consistency behind it. They got themselves a top 2 at the previous major, not by any accident. That is for certain. Now we'll just have to see if Vanguard can find any adjustments. So far, everything they've been trying is really been failing. And sometimes as well, it's difficult on the T side to get kills if you can't get your players in position. And it feels like, you know, Ents are the ones that are able to take the initiative, even when, you know, you have that Vanguard kind of trying to peek these corners to get these engagements. You know, having stuff like the shadow advantage or putting yourself in the position where you're already in such a strong spot to deal with those pushes when they come in, it feels like Ents is a step ahead every second of this game so far.
Counter-terrorists win.
Vanguard did do a good job to reset the situation after losing the pistol and, you know, winning a couple key rounds, but ultimately Ents are defeating their fundamental approach on the T side. And Vanguard did indeed try to mix things up in that previous round, and that didn't work either. So, you know, what do you do if you're a Vanguard right now? They're in a really desperate position, but such is the nature of playing competition at this level. You have to be able to figure stuff out when everything's going wrong. That is the true mark of a professional. And we'll see now. Ends very comfortable. 3 AKs. And Vanguard down with just a few pistols. 1 AK on Buster. This is a pretty typical Vanguard buy where you get that single AK, you sacrifice all the money of one player to get that AK out. And 2 smokes and a flashbang. So it looks like they're moving towards this A-bomb site.
All right, this is all about Buster. You can see a Vanguard just holding in connector at the moment. The pistoling guys need to stay alive. He needs to find the entries, but he's going to lose the AK. That's a problem. A Vanguard needs to swarm after Ali will see the gun that has been picked up. So they know it's still around the toilets for now. Sanji will be dealt with in long. And Kika has the bomb with the AK, sorry, with some Kevlar. Can the sound guys fix the rogue microphone, please? The mic turned on somewhere, it needs to be turned off. Kika and Jame remain. See if they can do any damage.
Yeah, damage is the name of the game. It's still a few rounds to play for, and although at this point Ents' economy is pretty outrageously strong. Oh no, he had that one, and considering how weak Sergey was as well, that's a bit disappointing. That'll be the round for Ents once again. 5 players surviving, and they are looking so unchallenged. What a great way for them to make themselves known in this tournament. Right out the gate with a strong CP side. Obviously the game is not over just yet. We have a whole second half to be played and a few rounds remaining here, but Vanguard, they keep trying new things and yet to find anything that works. And what's most worrying is that it's not just struggling to find the approach that works, and you know, because maybe it could be the case that you're getting into positions to succeed but you just can't close it. Right now they aren't able to kill anyone because they're not setting their players up or finding ways to do that against Ents to give them opportunities. Now here's Ents going much more aggressive than we've seen them, and that's going to allow Buster a 1v1 which he'll actually win. Ali with a whiff as well. Perhaps there's opportunity now here for a Vanguard.
Yeah, LXCB can help him if necessary. Some stuff to deal with as well. Buster taken out with the Galil. Was a rough buy for a Vanguard. Now, he's still holding down the Bot connector. He's just dropped a molly in front of it, and he's covering his teammate from the back, so LXCB can hold position. But can Vanguard identify an opportunity towards B? They're still worrying about this area, and hey, Ents could make an aggressive play towards the A-bomb site to try and channel Vanguard in towards B, but be ready for that as well. Right now, still trying to deal with this. LXCB by the fountain, didn't spot Jame. So we've got a 3 versus 3, just under a minute, and the bomb will be rotated towards the B bomb site. I don't know if Ents had even seen it. I don't know that LXCB, he was looking away, so they may not have realized, but here we go. So it's a B bomb site for Vanguard.
Yeah, flash for Kiko, but that's of course going to give the warning. Like Ents, and they have got themselves a nice kill. With that kill, you start to feel like Vanguard's chances are slipping away. Something pretty awesome. Goes to the peak with the shadow advantage again, helps Aerial able to spray him down, and time is really against Sanji in this 1 versus 1. The smokes are still up until Alu is, and Alu will connect the shot. Great stuff there from Alu, and another round goes to end. So at least it was a little bit closer this time, but
I'm loving these CT rounds. Well, firstly, let's just say Sanji's made it to the scoreboard, so welcome for him. He was 0 and 0 something 10 in the round prior. Yeah, and still mixing things up, just changing the pace, getting hyper aggressive, just throwing it in there. So Avangard don't know what to expect from round to round, but they managed to recover after losing a play early as well, and really nice stuff. And they are abusing the shadow advantages all over the map, and it's really great to see. You saw the pre-fire by the tunnel there. They even had a pot flash, didn't choose to engage beyond it. Don't know how many players are there, just gonna hold his ground and pre-fire as soon as Avangard get close to showing themselves. They've really been shut down. Some of these games we've seen from Avangard have been night and day, like the Dust 2 versus NRG was a non-starter, but the other Dust 2s have been really strong for them. Struggling against the higher ranked opponents in that respect. 3 rounds so far in their T side. They've got some more utility and weaponry than they've had in some of the other eco rounds, or half buys. More of a half buy than an eco. I think they can be separate things. Sanji's got a Krieg this time, so we saw Buster with the Hero AK-47. This time we've got Sanji with the Krieg. He's heading towards long at present, and Ali's just scouting for information on A.
And he might eventually be successful in one of these peaks. But he's going to peek towards long there, but there's no one there anyways, doesn't matter. And you see some counter utility thrown to make life really awkward for Avangard, who rush in with the power and LXCB in position to succeed. 4K this round. Alu looks pretty damn good. 4 to him, finished off by Alu, and Ents will defend. They read that one really well. They put down the smokes at perfect timing and really made it impossible for Avangard.
I think Avangard really got to get their flashbangs going, because Ents are abusing every shadow. Look, again, just shadow advantages for days. He has his warning LXCB. There's like no surprise factor there if he just stands there and he doesn't get flashed. It is very simple stuff for him. 10 rounds now for Ents, 2 more possible for Avangard. That Molotov would normally slow things down, but the lack of smoke grenade might be warning to Ents. They've got 3 players ready towards the B bomb site, and Sergey can rotate quickly as well. Way on to the side, finally getting that Mac 10 to work. He can take position if he goes more aggressive. Buster activating as well. Finally a chance into the B bomb site. Ali with 2 though, holding down a short position now, make it hard to plant the bomb, but he's been picked off eventually. Aerial and XCB now coming in from the back. Down the stairs, grenades towards the site of Dren though. He's still alive. They have the angles with Sanji. This won't be easy for Ents.
Yeah, this is a really awkward spot. That smoke will go away, but time is starting to diminish. The time in which they have to make this work, that is. Ooh, get some damage onto Jane, but now Jane knows exactly where Aerial is, and he'll take that as well. So Aerial is done, and Avangard will pick up a round, so that's something. They'll be with 4 on the board now, and with a chance for 1 more. If they're able to get that 5-10, there's definitely some room to work with moving into that second half. So we'll see if they were able to do that. Looks like they're waking up a little bit more now. However, again, you know, that round that they won there was off of the back of a very fast play. You know, we see that Mac 10 rushing in there. That was hard to replicate. I'll see if they can do it.
It's interesting, if the CTs throw a Molotov towards, oh never mind, it's going to be straight to B. Maybe time to talk about it later. Charging through once again. This might just work out for them. There are 2 CTs. A smoke grenade would help them cut the sights in half, but they've been cut to pieces. 2 versus 5 now. This is surely a round for Avangard. If it works, it works. Doesn't have to be pretty. Sergey versus 5 now. This is not an easy ace to get. They never are, but this is asking quite a lot. Grenades keep deploying. They know where he is now. They've got a second and everybody can face at the same time. 5 rounds at half time for Avangard. A late recovery and much needed.
Yeah, maybe they'll be thinking that they would have wanted those B rounds earlier. Well, if they can get that recovery going, stay with us. We'll see you after the break.
And we are back. ENCE will be starting the T side with 10 rounds on the board, 18 frags for the likes of Sergey. Very important for ENCE on the T side. In the second half, for me, it's about Kika. He's been so important for Vanguard pretty much every game, and where some other players haven't necessarily delivered so much, I think that he has been quite excellent for Vanguard and very important. And while he hasn't always been top fragging, the impact of his frags have been very much so. Very important, that is. So for me, the go-TV pick in the second half is Kika. Vanguard are going to be putting a lot of people on the B-bomb side to start with. Pop flash play, having a look towards Monster, not seeing much of anything. In fact, I think the entire team is starting in the B-bomb side. I respect that. They're ready for the 5 versus 5, but ENCE are not too excited to go into there quickly.
Yeah, it could be a timing thing as well, whereby if the T side were to rush all the way towards A, that you were able to get back towards A just in time after starting with 5 on B. Either way, spotted a couple players have a Vanguard towards that long position, and it's really showing some presence, and that does serve to make things a little bit less readable for a Vanguard, so they just have to hold tight for now in their default setups. And shame on that rotation position on A by the stairs, but now Sergey's going to make some more noise here. They still haven't seen the bomb as well, so that's another thing, key piece of information that they don't have. And so kind of making it look like they're lurking around this A-bomb site to kind of distract. But what they're really doing now is rotating fully towards that A-bomb site. They've managed to get themselves quite close in the bathrooms, which is ideal. Again, it still feels like you just have one player poking you, but here it is. It's been announced. Now I know what's going on, but they've only got 2 players on the side to defend. 3 trying to sneak in. Kika will get one headshot, but it's all ENCE otherwise, and they will have a bomb down very shortly.
Adren alone now. He was the only person left on the B-bomb site coming through from Connector. They had one flashbang, use it really well to get onto the site, but can they defend it versus Adren? Sergey and Ariel with the crossfire by Optimus and the dice. Adren seems to know what's going on, but there's a nice angle. The one what he's doing, he's patient, but he can't land a headshot. You have to respect how careful he was with those shots. Just couldn't land the last one. To keep his head though and try and focus that much, huge respect. However, that's a massive win for ENCE. With a 10-5 scoreline at halftime, that's a huge pistol round.
Yeah, those are 2 disgusting frags from Adren. He looks so good, so controlled for that last one as well. You can see Ariel just annihilating the defense there by himself, the 3K. And you can see Adren, he really was so focused, felt like he had that one. It looked like he had that one, honestly. Either way, it will be ENCE with that key pistol, and the Vanguard will go for the force buy, so they're all in here. 4 players towards B at the beginning of the round, which is not a bad call, as we can see. ENCE are going to be making their way towards that B. Some grenades in. 10 in as well, but great defense. The MP9 doing the job. So now for Vanguard as they will get sandwiched towards that short position, perhaps overcommitting. And now Jane has everything to do with this scout. Oh, nice shot though. 2 more to go.
He got blocked by the smoke grenade, and that was a chance to see him at least. He does a hell of a lot of damage though. Respect for that. Really difficult situation for him, but he made it as expensive as he could. And that may have a part to play in this next round, because a lot of the players events have got $3,500. So this is a weird spot. This is going to be a very interesting round. Vanguard are going all in on this one. Let's have a look at some. Never mind. 12-5, ENCE 7-round lead at the moment. We've got the MP5 out for Sergey, which is interesting. The MP5 is worse than the MP7, apart from the fact that there are no tracers. Everything else is just bad in comparison. So we've got 2 MAC-10s for ENCE. We have Buster's CZ75 with no Kevlar whatsoever, so he's probably dropped to an M4. 2 players without helmets, 2 players with CZs. This is it's going to be an interesting one. ENCE are far better equipped, I think, with utility and weaponry together. So this is going to be a rough spot for Vanguard. If James can get some maiming done with the scout, then perhaps there is something for Vanguard to follow up upon.
minute to go, and Vanguard is playing really patiently, or I should say passively. They're so far back on the bomb sites, and Ensta's playing patiently. They're just slowly creeping up towards bathrooms, towards connector, towards monster as well. They don't have sewers just yet, though. So it's a really slow development of their map control. Smoke on monster, smoke on the divider. And a very curious Sanji will close the distance behind that smoke. The most forward player now for a Vanguard, 30 seconds, and they're really starting to wonder what the hell's going on, because you would expect them to have made a move at this point. 25 seconds, Sanji in this deep position. Everybody on Ents has helmets, so he's going to have to do some serious work to get more than one. He's looking for the timing there. He is. Does he find a good timing? There's one. The next player. It's so hard to know which way to look, and that'll be a 1-for-1 trade, which is very beneficial here for Ents.
They don't even have time to pick up the XM, but XM is on the back with the Krieg. Oh, that was really nervous stuff for Ents. 5 versus 5 against the Force Spy. Leave it that late, but it seems it might work out for them. The MP5 with the final frags. Will anybody rescue the AK? Doesn't look like. Oh, Alexi B. Yes, Alexi B gets there just in time. We can see it on our second monitor. So that was really nervous stuff.
Yeah.
That's how many times have we seen a situation like that where the other team is just let back into the round by poor timing, if you will. Again, one thing goes wrong, it's the bomb carrier taken out immediately as well. But LXCB, if he doesn't trade that, that's GG right there.
Yeah, I think it was a Kiko that came in at the end there. If he knows what the bomber is and gets that kill, there's 5 seconds left, so there's actually not enough time to pick up the bomb and then plant it again. So I would have won the round. It's pretty crazy. Indeed, risky stuff, but it's worked out for them, and they'll be 13-5, so 3 more to go, and they'll be very happy chappies indeed. 2 Deagles already that Vanguard have to offer. They're really all just playing for that 20th round. So that's where the game has to come back into their hands. And Ents just once again being extremely patient. Ents really badly want to catch an aggression. They may just do it because X7, you can see he's waiting on this angle. Will he see the feet? I think he does, and does get some damage. What is the response here from a Vanguard? Will they be forced back? I mean, it's like that is the only option. You can't stay out there if your position's known, and they can't challenge X7. So the only thing they actually they've opted to go for it. Oh, there you go. Trent finds it. 40 seconds, the bomb is outside monster. Do they commit towards B though, Ents?
Ali looking for something very nice HE from both teams, maybe even better from Avangard. Ali and Sergey now 50 and 54 HP. That could be a problem, and Nikiko's looking to make it one. Now we've got 3 heavily tagged, 25 seconds on the clock. They need to clean up this. They don't have any Molotovs though, this will be a pain, but they've got guns. Sanji with the USP now, he's the only man standing. But no one can really take it. He's got to go and plant the bomb. That'll be a beautiful double peak from Ents, and they are 2 rounds away from their first game at this major.
Good times for the Finns. Getting that 1-0 right out the gate feels, I'm sure, very, very good. Less urgency in the following game. The Vanguard definitely heavy underdogs against Ents. Ents, of course, the finals in the last major against StarLadder. And we'll see now Ents making their way forwards. Sergey out through the smoke, extinguishing that Molotov, keeping the pace fast. So, it's like not having the best time. Monster with a good shot there. Sanji, in the midst of all of that, takes one down, but he's out of position outside the bomb plant. So Vanguard actually not in the worst spot ever. You know, 3 versus 2, and the bomb has the ability to be planted now. He's coming in.
That Molotov's gone all the wrong places. They haven't collected the bomb yet. The bomb's been on the floor for a while. You can see the nervousness from both teams throwing grenades at their own selves. And now Sergey is alone. The bomb's still to be collected. On the clock though. I wonder what the plan was for Ents. They didn't focus on the bomb plant, they focused on control. But that time allows the CTs to get closer. But again, so much time on the clock. 3 different places he could attack from, Sergey. But he's collected the bomb and he'll commit to it. Kika and Sanji, not all the health in the world. We've got a huge rotation from Kika. He's going all the way back to the A bomb site. Could have come in from short or from the monster position, but it seems they're probably going to bait from each other. Don't expect a wide swing.
8 bullets. That's not good. That's the first one. Oh my goodness, he can actually reload now because they know where he is, but he's choosing, there it is, he chooses to go for the reload. Sanji tapping the bomb. Is he a believer? Well, he may have done enough here. There's no kit, I don't think. Indeed, that's enough. And wow, I can't believe he managed to pull that one off.
Well, he was doing That's true. And they got there's the coach on the server as well. Match point for Ents, 15-5. Beautiful start for them. Major of ex-Space Soldiers fame wrote a tweet saying that you have to look out for some weird results on day one of a major where new teams are coming in, because the teams who've been here already will be more familiar with the computer setups and so on, which is a fair point actually, especially in a best of one. But so far so good for Ents. This is the Ents I expected. Yes, they have a significant player going out and coming in, but it doesn't mean they're just going to be bad all of a sudden. They still have the structure and everything they built before. Yeah, and they're still a pretty high-ranked top 10 team.
Oh, for sure. It'd be outrageous to deny their quality. Sergey's 28 for something, 5 or something like ridiculous. 9, okay, but still, 28 for 9 in 20 rounds. It's not bad.
Not too shabby at all. Sergey loses a duel to the auto shotgun. Some bonus money for James if his team could hold on to give him another AWP in the rounds to come. And so just 2 players they can trade. Sanji can only do so much, and he's about to be on fire. However, LXCV will put him out of his misery. X7 in the meantime can cut off rotation around that short B position. Man advantage, and James in no man's land. What did he choose to do? I mean, he's got to go for it, but he's going towards the B bomb site, looking for the flanker. He'll be flanking his teammate Buster. Horrible way to potentially end things, and now James is no kit, no life, no hope. 16-5, monstrous start for Ents in the major.
Yeah, again, we just saw that classic Ents team play cohesion. You know, so many CT setups as that first half. That was a significant win for them, a 10-5 start. Vanguard actually managed to reset them in terms of how they, you know, Ents won that pistol. They looked like they were going to build something. Then Vanguard hit them with a couple hard-hitting rounds, really made them struggle for a few rounds. Then after that, every single D4 failed. All the side attacks failed. They couldn't win their duels. We had all these multi-frags from Sergey. Ents looked great here on day one.
Yeah, and I didn't expect them to look any different from that. Sergey had a fantastic time. I think it was awesome. Just the positions the CTs were holding, the CTs of Ents were holding in the first half, and just how many shadow advantages were abused across the map. I think that's a great demo for people at home to look at, just to see how you can have advantages based on your position and not being too overly aggressive, and having 2-man setups with your teammates as well. That was just really awesome to see. It was a fantastic start for Ents.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see more Counter-Strike from them. Again, it's just the quality, or I should say the type of quality that they bring to the server is just quite beautiful. Like, all of the very elite teams, they play Counter-Strike, of course, in slightly different ways, but they all do it to such a high degree of efficiency. It's just it's a masterclass. It's beautiful to watch. So looking forward to seeing them. But Vanguard, they've got to go back to the drawing board. Overpass is normally a pretty comfortable map for them, but they look pretty lost against Ents.
Yeah, and I think Ents could have an interesting one. I know some of the guys have been looking in that simulator, which says, you know, if the results are like this, who's going to face who? So that might be pretty cool indeed to see if they go 3-0. I know some people pick them more of a safety thing, but it's time to talk about it later. I think that's enough from us. I'm not sure. Production, we're going to a break or we're going to the desk? We are going to an interview, excuse me. Over to Sue. Hi, Sue.
strategy side, it was me saying some stuff on the force buy round and like the first buy or something, and then the rest, Alu just said something, and we're just playing with the flow, trying to play with the good mindset and go from there.
And I know coming into the major, some teams had extensive boot camps. What was the situation like for you guys again because of the situation?
Just a boot camp, and we just played a lot for the 2 weeks. Of course, my mentality was a bit off at first, but I have a good composure and I can keep it up.
Well, at least with this game, we saw how great that turned out. So congratulations once again with that best of one victory under the belt. We're gonna be right back as when we come back, more Counter-Strike action coming our way.
all this ground on the table here, but I guess for what it's worth, losing your opening match is not going to help things at all.
Not at all. Not against a team like Ents, right? Because Ents is a good team, but they are coming in with this asterisk about Sonny coming into the lineup, Alexi B still playing. I like what he said in the interview, though, that they're trying to keep a good spirit, they're trying to keep a positive mood. He's still calling something, Alu is still calling something, so it seems like despite whatever happened within that lineup, despite why Sonny is all of a sudden part of Ents, it still seems like they're able to perform and conduct themselves in a professional manner, and that's very important moving forward for this tournament.
There's an entire conversation to be had about this Sonny move into Ents, but one thing I want to talk about, and I think it's just about time, is Jame and what he had to bring to the table here for Avangard.
Not much of anything, if I'm being honest, Trace. There was a couple rounds where he had impact, but largely, it was the stars of Ents showing up time and time again, namely Sergey. I mean, a lot of these bathroom fights were just so poorly designed by Avangard, though, so it's really hard to say like what level Ents is playing with right now. These kills weren't even difficult for Sergey. They were walking into these open shadow peaks. James pointed out live on stream, no flashes to clear these angles. You have to see more out of a team like Avangard.
Yeah, and it's quite scary to see, because I remember during the Katowice minor, and the major for that matter as well, how good they were on a map like Overpass. They took Liquid 16-14 in the first game of that major, and this stage of the major, and they were close at beating them. They probably should have won that game. It seems like Avangard have moved a little bit away from that, the great foundation they had. They're playing off each other, they're playing for each other. Now they have more star quality, obviously. They have Adrian, they have Jame, players who can dominate a game, but they don't do it right now against the best teams in the world. And if you then move away from your foundation and you don't have that team play in order to fall back on, then what do you actually have left to work with? And to me, that seems like the problem for Avangard right now, that the plan B is non-existent and the plan A doesn't work.
Yeah, especially against a team that's well-oiled, well-drilled. Regardless of all the things going on outside of the game, Ents is still a pretty lethal force if you think about it. They really did make a surge throughout the past year. They've really shown face here. They've shown that they've got what it takes to compete amongst the best. However, there's going to be a change, and what will that do to the mentality of this team coming into this major?
And so far, they look to be playing, that same brand of Counter-Strike, just simple yet effective, right? They play fundamentally strong Counter-Strike, both on CT and T side. That's how they got, in the top 3 of the rankings. It wasn't by any kind of flashy play. They're not, Astralis with utility, but their rotations and, setups and just approach to rounds are always fundamentally correct.
If any team can do it, I'd say it's a team like Ents, right? Had it been Astralis, had it been North, had it been some of my Danish former teams, right? I don't think we would conduct ourselves so professionally or so brilliantly as Ents did here. I think they're very, I wouldn't say emotionally down, right? But they're not, a team that is fired up when they're playing the game. So they're just coming in here, they're doing the work, and they're doing it fine. And if any team were able to pull off, and I would say it's an upset if they go to the playoff. I don't think people should expect them to go to the playoff considering what's going on within the lineup. But if they do, I wouldn't even be surprised.
Listen, guys, we have a whole nother best of one to talk about. And I don't know if you guys realize
Cool,
that.
man.
We're going to keep rolling along the schedules here. We do have that of the Dream Eaters, the Meat Beaters, the Cream Feeders, whatever you want to call them. They are here to play, but unfortunately for them, there's this little kid known as Astralis, and they're just waiting to get in that server, and moreover, get in that what?
Well, that Astralis.
That Astralis. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Astralis Dream Eaters next up on the docket of best of one as we do kick off this Legends stage. Guys, this one could be pretty heavy-handed. However, we have not seen much from the Astralis camp via social media or anywhere else. What in the hell have they been doing?
Well, they've won a few majors in their time, so I'm going to go ahead and trust their system as opposed to the Dream Eaters. I firmly believe that, Astralis behind the scenes right now have been working super hard. Obviously, I have no proof of this. I have no look into their team. I've seen them, though, around the hotel. They're very confident. They're always together as a group. They operate, when you look at them, just very different than other teams, right? Like, these guys are not only super professional in the game and out of the game, but they're friendly to each other. Like they'll always be like watching demos together in the hotel lobby and stuff like that.
Dare I say it's like a family sometimes, right?
Yeah.
They're really trying to keep it close together, and I'm 100% sure as to what you're saying. We haven't seen the proof that they've been working hard, but you just know that Astralis are they're upset about the whole situation, right? The later stages of the first half of 2019 hasn't been as successful as they wanted it to be. Ever since the Katowice major, right? That was a good showing. They won that major, but ever since it's been a little bit lackluster. It hasn't been the same as Astralis we've seen. And if I know them right, which I like to think that I do, they're mad, they're upset, and they're very motivated. A guy like Device, we haven't really talked about him being one of the best players in the world. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes into this tournament and all of a sudden, you know, enters the conversation again together with Elish, Symbol, Saibu for that matter.
Let's really speak candidly here about this situation, because Astralis, we know them to be a world-class team. We knew that they were the unstoppable force. We knew them as the team that was really setting the standard as to who is the best overall of all time, at least within Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Now, there are a lot of things going on around the game that maybe make you think, okay, what's there to really say about Astralis in their own mental state?
Yeah, I think that's the key thing here, right? I don't think anything changed fundamentally with Astralis' approach to the game or their structure in the game, but it looks like their confidence took a hit. They didn't seem as confident in gunfights, and things just didn't go their way, right? When you're on the top, like how Liquid is now and Astralis was then, you just have this feeling that everything you do is correct. And even when you lose, you can always attribute that to, you know, the other team got lucky, we're the best in the world. And I mean, you just have this immense amount of confidence. And when that takes a hit and even a crack shows, things can snowball out of control. And I think that that's where Astralis found themselves.
That's the thing, though. Look at these players, right? Look at how many of these players who have defined what roles are in Counter-Strike. Sipnix, the clutch master, the support player, the utility guy, right? He's known for being that fifth guy of the lineup who always wins them the rounds they need. A guy like Dupree, a great entry fragger, you know, sort of like made that his thing. Then there's Glaive, by many, and by myself included, considered the best in-game leader in the world. All of these guys have something, you know, individually to attribute with to this lineup. So when you look at roles, when you look at different players on the team, there's not a player from Denmark right now that I would change with any of these guys as it stands, even though Astralis have been struggling.
Now, you being on the desk is one Dane, but there's one more Dane that I would much rather hear from. No offense, Jacob.
Fair enough.
His name is Device. We're going to hear from him direct.
I've got Device with me from Astralis. You're coming back as the previous major champions, though a lot has changed since that moment. But let's go back to the player break and stuff. Did you guys get a vacation? Did you guys get some downtime? And how was it?
Yeah, sure. We had a lot of downtime. It was kind of weird to have so much time off, so I'm not going to complain. It's a privilege to have some vacation with this tough schedule. Sometimes it's kind of tough to be away from your family and friends, girlfriend, whatever, for so long. So I just enjoyed the player break, tried to play some CS as well, and yeah, I'm really excited to be here.
Now, boot camp wise, did you guys get some practice in beforehand in a boot camp, or did you guys stay where you were and just play online? How did things work out?
Yeah, we boot camp, but I think we try not to have the boot camp lead directly up to the tournament, because then you play so much that you can get overplayed. So we had some boot camps when we started off the season, both focusing on the mental aspect, but also on the in-game problems we had before the break. And honestly, things were looking quite rough at sometimes in practice, but then everything started just becoming very good. So we're quite confident, but it's like practice results are always so hard to go off, because people are testing out new stuff and so on. But we definitely feel like we've sharpened our game and that we are in a great shape.
So Dream Eaters are going to be your first opponents in this. To avoid being upset like some of the others have kind of come into this, what needs to happen for you guys?
I think that it's quite natural to acknowledge their talent now, because they actually made it through. It's kind of weird, right? Because underestimating opponents is just like treating it as just another match, and treating the preparation and the game plan as just another match is all you can do. And then
today, but do they stand a chance when it comes to this new stage?
Yes, they do, right? Because Dream Eaters have been playing at this stage a lot. They went 2-2, so they've had a lot of matches on this particular stage. They're very comfortable with the environment. They've been under pressure, and they've been playing well. Now, we have talked about when you come from a break, that's not necessarily a good thing always, and then you're coming in as the first game in a best of one. There is an upset potential here for Dream Eaters, but again, it's hard to believe.
How about we just talk to the Dream Eaters themselves?
That
How
sounds
about we
like a good
just
idea,
talk via James Bank?
That's how I treat it. When I think it's gonna come down to either Astralis, which I can't wait to watch, or Team Liquid. One of those teams are gonna win. Exactly, Dark Master. That's what I'm saying. Like I don't want anybody to make fun of anybody. I'm letting people know now. I'm gonna say this a lot. If you make fun of me when I game, if you call me a noob, say that I suck, say that, you know, what the hell am I doing, you're gonna be immediately banned and removed from this community. That's the first thing. If you make fun of anybody in this community, whether it's in chat, in game, or anything, you'll also be removed. And I'm not trying to be mean or anything like that. I'm just telling you the truth. Because this community is about being friendly, having a good time, having fun, and connecting with gamers. Connecting with people that love CSGO as much as I do. You know? Just keep that in mind. One, my prediction, either Astralis or Team Liquid. I do not have a Discord. I want everything to be done through my YouTube channel. I love the community, but I want everything filtered into here. I want people in chat. I want people to share the videos, like the videos, like, you know, all my live streams and discussions. I don't really want to have like a Discord and all that. Like, I really don't. That's just not for me. But I will say that in the future, probably around October, November-ish, give or take, I'm gonna make my own LTJ clan team. You all get a little heads up on that. I'm gonna make my own little, you know, 5 or 6 man or woman team. And it's gonna be fun. Not professional or anything like that, just to queue up and do stuff, competitive matches and things like that, you know. Swim no, I got them going 0-3. Yeah, like Dark Master, like I said, once the time comes, there'll be an application to join my team. There'll be a lot of stuff, and it'll be just like a rotation. It'll be like, basically, we're gonna have like, you know, streams where it'll be just our matches, so I can have a full 5. All representing the LTJ clan, and we get matches done and stuff like that. That'll be fun. Oh, I'm sorry, I heard that, Anonymous. I'm not sure my notice. I think it's just technical difficulty, and that happens. You know, that happens. Okay, just warming up. I think everybody's on now, so they should be good. Not up, device left the game.
Back to Dust to Inferno. They vetoed Inferno and chose Dust too. And in my opinion, that's an extremely risky play.
fantastic start. He's going to be on the back foot. Device in 1 versus 5. They know exactly where he is. Probably wants to save his cap for a cheeky kill, but getting through that tunnel, absolutely impossible. 3 meters, absolutely crush it. Dash B, that is going to be successful there for them, and Astralis will be going for the force buy. You love to see it, get those scouts going. That's a nice one from Speedak. Wow, beautiful. Didn't catch that, but he absolutely owns the flank. It's a nice little added detail to the B rush to have someone do a cat drop like that. Lovely stuff from Dream Eaters.
Flash, or is it? It will be avoided by Glaive. He'll land a shot, but it is eco territory for Astralis. 2 Desert Eagles on the map now, 1 on the floor, a 3rd one. Could be collected by his Fiat if he's feeling lucky. Could actually help him since he's got a Mac 10, give him some extra range. I like the color coordination from Dupree. There's a double peek actually from Astralis, so you saw his angle, but right behind him, or not right behind him, and by the big box is Magisk. You can see it on the radar. I like the lineup. Up by a big box, there'll be some elevation from the stairs, so that's a nice double peek on eco for a CT side. One to definitely still add to your repertoire at home. We won't see it in action, it seems, as the Dream Eaters will be stacking the long position. There's another tag for Device. Beautiful stuff from him. He can jump on these boxes as well. Chooses a low ground, gets one in the face, and maybe the worst is over for Dream Eaters.
Yeah, surely it should be a save now for Astralis. They can carry these guns into the following round. Dupree's collected a Mac 10, so that can go up to a teammate. Looks like they're getting a little bit aggressive though. Throwing some nades in, threatening the bomb site. And that may actually just also be to buy time if they do decide to save. If you threaten the bomb site and kind of make it look like you're going for it, that will hold the Dream Eaters off for an extra time. And that looks like that might be the case here. Zipex, of course, stuck in CT. I don't know that he has been spotted. And Dream Eaters have to be careful that if they attack that position, they do it in numbers, because if Zipex gets a kill, you can't allow him to save a gun in that position. So it looks like Dream Eaters will pick the safest option or go towards the long and pit position, and they will be safe. So Astralis is still dangerous in this following round. We'll have to see if they can get saves. I like the detail from Dream Eaters. I feel like we don't see it enough that we'll see teams throwing the utility onto the short position from long. That is very strong. You can see it takes away a lot of defensive positions around Catwalk as they make their way across. I believe you can also get the smoke down on CT ramp as well. So lots of lovely stuff you can do from that position, and they seem more than aware. So good start from them. I think that's what we wanted to see, James.
I do agree that Device is really starting to look like Tom Cruise. Maybe when there's a Mission Impossible prequel, he can get some accent training and I don't know, jump out the window or something. But for the moment, it'll just be the pistols for the most part. Of course, with that Mac 10 that was stolen in the previous round. That's a great start for Forrester, taking that long position, making the remainder of the round surely a formality at this point. Grenades towards A. Box to clear space to limit the pushes that these CTs can do. Oh, though, and he's got to find himself some Forrester. There is another SMG to be collected by his teammate now, and Dream Eaters will head towards B. They've got the choke point. They're through the choke point rather. Dupree's outside the bomb sites, and there's plenty more utility for Dream Eaters. So
it's a weird spot for Astralis in the sense that Zipex and Dupree might actually want to save because of the catalog. They don't have any utility at all to really get in there. Obviously, they are buying next round, so that's sometimes, the fact that you're buying the following round does make the argument that you'll try to just go for it and get some damage in. But again, without utility, damage is pretty much impossible. So they're trying to control both exits. You can see 2 players in the tunnels, which is a more realistic point of defense. They'll shut themselves there. Now, might encourage the Dream Eaters to go out of the doors towards CT spawn, where now the rest of Astralis have rotated, where they have 3 players. This is actually beautiful. Right now, Dream Eaters think that tunnels is not safe. Mid-position. That is so smart, James. That is so damn smart.
welcome to the first smarter teams in Counter-Strike. And now the game begins. 3-0 start for Dream Eaters, best of 1. We've seen best of 1s dropped by Astralis before, which is why I didn't want to choose them for the 3-0, because while they're one of the strongest teams in the tournament, or they should be, best of 1s, man, you just don't know. And Dream Eaters, aka Gatekeepers, have been surprising from game to game. but indeed now begins device on AWP, of course. Full utility for most of the players. Astralis maybe the kings of holding on to the long position. That's a great start. Device taking SpeedAC out. Incendiary to hold position. Doesn't go as deep as he wanted it to. Oh, he's seen the goes to the repeat. He could have been taken out as well. I think he's lucky to get away with that one. In the meantime, Zipex has got some sound cues. Fiat jumping. I don't know if he was looking for info, but I don't think he saw Zipex. Now, there are two players towards the big box. Everyone's already got an angle, but devices are up on the map. You could see over this smoke if they go towards the door. That's a beautiful HG from Dupree.
Yeah, straight up. Onto Images, but Dupree is clear, and he'll get all the kills that he needs with the additional help of Zipex.
They took zero damage.
Clean sweep indeed for Astralis, exactly what you need on that CT side. And again, given the amount of damage that they managed to find in the previous round by tricking Dream Eaters, eking out this extra couple of frags, that's not put Dream Eaters in an awkward position, because sure, they can get a buy-in in this round with the AWP. However, if they are successful here, that's going to be it. And they have taken some hits in terms of utility. They don't have all the full utility they want. They're on a Mach 10 for Sviat, so it's not ideal. And again, all due to that trick from Astralis to threaten the tunnels and make it look like that's where they were setting up.
More detail in Astralis and a KOTOR ground. I messed that one up, didn't I?
Oh,
that the HE from Dupree through the door was so sick. He had the device with the angle over the smoke from A ramp to cover the door position, and he threw the HE to T's rotating towards the window, and it did massive damage. That made me very, very happy. Now we've got a push coming in towards the B bomb site once again. I'm going to be ready for this. They've got so far. Magisk with the AUG. The AUG is still so good at defending the B bomb site. Magisk giving you an example. He's got 5 bullets left, not reloading. Doesn't have a position. Could get pushed, but eventually it will happen anyway. Man advantage for Astralis on the retake.
Yeah, those 3 kills from Magisk definitely done a lot of damage. The last smoke used by Crowd on the doors. One flash is all that remains. So in a good position with the AUG, the stolen AUG. What can he do with it though? There is, of course, Glaive coming from the tunnels eventually. How will the Astralis coordinate this? They've got 2 outside the bomb site, 1 in the tunnels. And they have a flashbang and an HE grenade. Oh, Sviat's repositioning that, jumping across. If you're a Crowd able to take down Glaive in the tunnels. Now Sviat will jump up, takes down Device. Zipex goes down as well, and Dream Eaters hold on. And the hype begins. 4-1 for Dream Eaters. After Astralis won a round surviving with 5, Dream Eaters respond. Well, they respond very, very strong.
Let's have a look. Beautiful headshot there from Crad. He was pinched though. Oh, nice. Crad's looking pretty sharp at the moment. Really sharp indeed. That's a beautiful play from him. GoTV picks. Oh, well, it's Astralis. So for those of you on GoTV, Zipex all game. All game, every game.
Pick Astralis.
I always pick Zipex. If Zipex is on the server, Zipex is the GoTV pick every single game.
So Astralis will mix things up. They're not going to have so heavy on their long defense, as Device has showed early presence there. Perhaps they feel like they've conditioned the Dream Eaters to go a bit more quickly towards the tunnels and catwalk position, and that's where they set themselves up. Zipex and Device will be there, and they'll be looking to get something out of this. When you have a forward position like this, you really want to try to get a kill and then fall back, and that's going to have you feeling a lot more confident about your defense. But there is SpeedAC on the other side. The nades come out. The gets himself the second one. SpeedAC tried to trade. He knows he has to, but it's too difficult. And there comes the nade to follow it up. Astralis for you. Long will be taken as a response by Forrester. That is something, but it's still a 2 versus 4.
There is room for some recovery if they can take position. No flashbang for his teammate. Picks from Kinky, and it doesn't look like this is the Device moving forward now. Dupree's in the red. You see he was considered to trade there. He's got to let Magisk lead. He will do the job. AWP rescued by Zipex. Astralis back to winning ways, 2-4.
Absolutely. I'm loving the sharpness we're seeing out of Dream Eaters. We're seeing some really nice mechanics from them. Forrester and Crad in particular, I've noticed they look really good. This was a strong setup though from Astralis. They bait into forcing the T's to try to go for a trade in response to losing that first player to Device. They were clearly not ready for a setup there, because if they were, we would have seen them play a little bit more forward. We would have seen more flashes to allow them the space to do what they were trying to do safely, but instead they get caught out by Device. They're committed to try to trade for him. Obviously, that's part of the Astralis plan. They've got the setup so that Xipx can make it painful, and they get so much damage.
The flashbang wasn't good enough from Dream Eaters as well. It would be so bizarre if Dream Eaters won this game at Dust 2. Honestly, going back to Dream Eaters versus Simon Gaming at the major, the Dream Eaters on the CT side, it was wild. The improvements they've made from then to now, but to topple Astralis, even in a best of one, that would be quite something. That's a low percentage scenario. Technical pause at present. Well, we've been back and forth now. Obviously, Dream Eaters won the pistol and beyond, so it's been back and forth. We haven't really seen consecutive rounds since then. But perhaps this is a chance for Astralis to get that consecutive round. I don't know if Dream Eaters will force back. We haven't really seen too much investment just yet. Just a P250 on Kinky for the time being. So maybe they'll wave the flag. Actually, I won't say more. Some headsets are off. Device, aka Tom Cruise, with some assistance being had there. But we do have speakers in the venue and the crowd. So we'll just talk about the keyboards.
Well, this game so far, I'm going to deny you of the keyboard talk, has been really interesting because, for me, one of the things that can happen when you see a team that's an underdog like this, that doesn't have the experience, they're playing against a team that may very well be their idols. You know, Astralis are the team that everybody's been chasing and were chasing for such a long period of time. A team that's, you know, really has innovated in so many ways and changed the flow of Counter-Strike. And you know, Dream Eaters are up against them right now, and maybe it's in that there's wins against Vitality and NRG that would set them up for more upsets in the future, because I feel like we're seeing a level of focus from them at this point that is really remarkable. Like, it doesn't seem as though they're really suffering from any jitters. Maybe it's because it's the beginning of the game. The fact that, you know, we're seeing such clinical aim from Dream Eaters and good team play and execution, they're decisive as well, is really encouraging. And it seems so far the only lack that they've had is, as you say, James, on that the utility, the tactical aspect of their game, and that's of course one of the biggest strengths that Astralis have. So that might be a clear division between these two teams as time goes on.
All right, Device has reconnected to the server. Maybe there's a round restore, and then we should be good to go. So every so often somebody asks why I always say Xipx when to watch on GoTV when Astralis versus anyone when they're on a server, basically. And it's because I think he's one of the players who is the best demonstration for players who have something to learn, which is most people, like if they're new to the game or just playing matchmaking or something. I think on the CT side especially, the positions he chooses to take and how he reacts to things, doesn't overextend, a very stable, solid player. I think you can learn good fundamentals or improve your own by watching him play, which is why he's always the go-TV pick. So you can have more explosive people on the server, but I think that is harder to emulate. So while it might be more exciting to watch in terms of adding things to your own game, which I think is the most rewarding thing you can do, I think Xipx is always somebody that people should watch when he's on the server.
I think it's kind of being able to kind of backwards engineer plus EV situations. I mean, that's how I would describe him. Is he's always playing for that positive expected value, and that's something that he's extremely good at. So
backwards engineer plus EV. That's a very complicated sentence you just said there.
Is it? I mean, I guess it's like, you know, if you're trying to figure out how to understand the theory of the game, if you keep watching what Xipx does, you'll start to see some kind of rules and protocols that he uses which consistently give advantage, because he's a player that always tries to maximize advantage and play from advantage and find that advantage. And some players can mitigate a lack of good decision making with extreme amounts of skill. That is not Xipx. He has both of those things. Huge skill, incredible decision making. But here we go. We're back in it. It will be perhaps a flat round from Dream Eaters. They've invested nothing, which I respect, because they're against Astralis.
They bought a P250. You're lying.
It's okay.
You've defrauded the audience.
It's more or less nothing.
You've defrauded the audience. absolutely nowhere. Dupree with so many targets trying to spread the wealth. He's left crowd of 3 HP. The M4's been collected. And now this is interesting. If they can go for a wide peak or use one of the pistoling players as cannon fodder, then maybe they can get an entry. And perhaps a bomb plant becomes possible. They've got to put someone near the doors now with StarLadder, or at least the window towards B, to stop a potential split of a bomb site. So this does make things pretty weird for them.
It really does make things a little bit strange, but they should be okay. It would be an amazing result for Dream Eaters to be able to try to trade onto one more kill. If they could find another kill, I think they've already exceeded the expectations for a round like this. Again, the Astralis economy is awful, and that is by and large because Dream Eaters have been playing really well in terms of hitting their shots and you know, when they take their opportunities, when they go for their pushes, having some good coordination and communication. So that one kill will go quite far for them. Really nice that they picked that one up.
That's like $5,000 of damage.
Absolutely, yeah. It's very expensive buys on the CT side. And here comes the buy for 3 meters. Yeah,
let's see if... well, what is Speedak going to do? He's got $5,000 in the bank. He seems to be considering he's going to drop a AK to Sviat and pick up the Scout instead. So I did wonder how much he wanted the scope. So he's opted for a Scout with Kevlar and grenades over an AWP with no Kevlar. Let's see how it works out. He's going to have quite a tough device, not showing too much fear. He's got to be aware of somebody jumping on the box in the suicide position as well. In the meantime, we've got players in the lower tunnel area. That's what he's looking for. Device really good with the tendencies, especially on Dust 2. A very old G2 team. Flash lower tunnel, and he would be just facing the wall on short, waiting for it, and just peek after it with confidence, round after round.
And that actually works out really well for Device. I think in his perspective, it's hard to know 100% or not sometimes if you've actually made the tag. Obviously, he did get the tag on Crad as he jumped across, but it was through an object. So Crad is very weak. And Device covers his track with the incendiary, so he doesn't get punished. Glaive gets some information there, sees that Dream Eaters have taken over Catwalk, but this is the pivotal moment now for the T side, because this is the point when you have this bit of control where you can put pressure on the A-bomb side, and you can decide to change up the pace, quickly rotate, and go for a B-split whilst you convince them it's going to be A. And this is like the dynamic of a Dust 2 T-side default. And it's the CT's jobs to try to have good positions, to deal with both things, and here comes the B split. So they threaten that A-bomb side, keep 3 players there, and here comes the through the window. And Magisk are making Zipex still alive, but not for too much longer. Looks like Dream Eaters will take the B-bomb site. Nice B split, but the retake is going to be deadly here from Astralis.
They've got 3 flashes, no molly for space control. Device drops the AWP for the AK, more nimble. Maybe there'll be an opportunity to retrieve it later. Speedak with an important shot with the Scout into the B-bomb site in the first place. No HEs to go behind the box or anything like that. Speedak considering his options. What is the best flash to throw as far as being slow? 2 of the 3 players with defuse kits. Slowly edging. He's been left alone. Speedak, Kiki 1 versus 2. Now he's got to get on the bomb as well. A huge frag from Device. Glaive didn't have time to double peek with him. And Device will race away to collect his AWP.
Very good round for Dream Eaters, though. Again, you know, we see that classic moment with the default where there's this window of time where the CTs don't know whether it's going to be A or B or not, and Astralis had 3 players really committed deep on A. They go for a very fast B split, and it's really Dupree and Magis that obviously make the difference here. In eliminating 3 players on their defense, they did just enough to allow the retake to be convincing. You can see though it still went down to the last couple seconds. Device was not able to come off the bomb. So a very close round from Dream Eaters. They're playing a good Dust 2 so far, and they might just burst onto Dupree. He's going to be in. Can he get this? Continuation. Spray falling back. Just has a beautiful cut. Oh god. It looked like it was going to be really bad for Dupree, but Magisk knife out.
All on the B-bomb site is so strong. I feel like it's the best implementation of the weapon at the moment. 5 to 4, $5,000 to $6,000 on most of these Dream Eaters players, but indeed we are getting those consecutive rounds from Astralis, but some of them feel close. Dream Eaters, even with that split earlier on, they didn't have much utility, but they had the bodies. But the holds from Astralis are just too strong. Even with 2 players, they can be very devastating. I'm not talking about eco rounds.
It's so funny there because Dupree, like the way that he looked at Badges, was like, thank you. No! Spian actually kills Forrester and all of that as well, so they do double at the beginning. Dreaming is trying to go for a fast long take, trying to really mix up that pace, but Astralis really ready for that. They got 4 players towards A. It was such a good guess from Astralis. Mixing up that setup ahead of time has really paid off. Dream Eaters must respond now. I don't think that they realize this, but they need to go B immediately to beat. There's a small window of timing where Astralis backfire, but I think they may be a little bit too slow here. Still though, 4 players towards this A site, but there's no smoke to cover the approach to B. And with that said, Astralis will stabilize.
Glaive makes his way towards top mid while all that is happening, so the net is closed. Dupree spots the bomb, and they know where Speedak is exactly, and the longer Speedak takes to go for a play here, he knows he's going to get against more players, and there's the Vice finish off the job. Only Glaive taken out there on the flank. Astralis with a great read. They show over multiple rounds B is a stronghold. Even when you've got 4, we've got 2, and we will stop you. Read that they go towards the A bomb site and crush the long position with 4 players alive. Marvelous stuff. The lineup there is a little brutal. Not much you can do. It happens.
Yeah.
6-4 now. 5 rounds in a row for Astralis.
I think it's also a situation where, you know, if you're able to identify that there's 4 towards there, you have to have the protocols like already prepared in your practice that like what the response looks like, because it has to be so fast as a team straight away to be before the CDs can get back into position. And Dream Eaters will take over the long position. Device will with a couple of shots. The grenades doing the majority of the damage, and this is nice. Dream Eaters, they might need a smoke for Xbox if they want to try to attack into Catwalk with numbers, but it looks like they're going across towards B. But with the push of Astralis, they will be wise to all of this. They've understood there's a big amount of numbers towards long, and they proactively take forward positions, really shutting down any options for Dream Eaters.
Taking liberties in a moment. Glaive, that's a nasty frag from him. But while he's doing this, Zipex is still very aggressive in that short position. Forrester still lurking in long, but that's information that Astralis are not too concerned about, especially considering Asiko only have the range, so they need not ask questions towards that long position, but short may be better to burst onto the site, and Zipex is holding control of that at the moment. He's got Dupree and Device behind him, so there can be grenades if they need them. Astralis almost got 4 grenades at this point. Taking liberties now. Staying there on his own with some pre-fire. Beautiful stuff. That is just nasty. That's nasty. Astralis has shown the dominance. He's at the point of no return. He's got no one anywhere close to him, not even for a support grenade.
I love how, you know, like how that is a rehearsed flashbang where it lands in front of the pillar that he's playing behind, so he knows he can peek whilst the flashbang is on the floor, and he will not be blinded, but they will still be blinded. That's kind of a beautiful spot. You know, Astralis showing. I mean, you should never be surprised to see excellent tactical displays from Astralis. That's what they're absolutely known for. Specs will find a very fast push down Catwalk. So Astralis didn't have anyone towards that middle position. They couldn't see that there had been a jump down suicide from Dream Eaters, which means the fastest possible timings towards Catwalk. And with double orbs from Astralis, that was a risky timing for Dream Eaters, but they do make it work.
Might look weird to some at home that Crad flashed himself, but there is a meta where you peek before the flash goes off to catch people off guard. Very old. You see it from time to time. So there's no play there. Magic spots too, but he can't outstay his welcome. Maybe got a sound cue of the player in the lower area as well. So he just got a hell of a lot of information. He didn't see the bomb, but he saw enough players to get an idea. Speedax in T spawn essentially with the bomb at the moment, so he's got to be careful. 1 minute on the clock, but Dream Eaters must realise that Astralis are just imposing their will and taking liberties.
Trying to get out of it and trying to go towards that B bomb site. Astralis are gambling towards that A bomb site, of course, and Dream Eaters smartly didn't allow Magic's smoke to be an argument to go and force themselves towards that A side. That would have been something to say the least. Trying to hold on to position. Glaive, though, will take down Sviats, who was looking for that top mid play. So it's a 2 versus 2, so chances here for Astralis. Flash smoke is all the utility they have. There goes the flashbang. Smoke, not sure if Glaive will throw that into the... Well, he can't throw it into tunnel because his teammate's coming from there. Forced up. They know that he's there now. Doing the engagement. It's all about time here. Speedak is going to be forced to die, I think, with this bomb. Oh, he's jumping onto the... Is he actually going for the defuse? They're trying to stick it. Is there actually any time?
Oh my
surely not. There should not be time for that. Speedak, who's pinned down by the tunnel position. That is a steal.
That was wild. It looked on the radar that Device was considering saving the AWP. It looked like he thought the round was lost. You might see it on the radar while all the action was going on the B bomb site with Glaive. Calculated risks, sacrifice one player with a chance. Absolutely crazy stuff. I can't believe they won that round, but we've seen them win more absurd rounds, to be honest, on the B bomb side. 8-4 now for Astralis. 3 meters. Another buy thanks to that bomb plant. There will be no half buy between the full buys. 7 rounds in a row for Astralis on this CT side. Are we heading towards an 11-4? I start to wonder.
I believe this third AWP was actually a mistake as well. They're just going with it. I mean, Dupree obviously a very capable AWPer. And you know, it could work to their favor. We'll see how it plays out. Crad actually, oh, he's actually going quite far forward in mid zip. Caught jumping up, that's some damage from Crad. Not bad, of course, above the frag, but let's see what Device can find. Sees a jump to Xbox, and really it's just about delaying and controlling the teams. They know that they want catwalk, they always do. Bomb spotted, but that's not too much information again. They can still go back towards B, dropping into middle. Magisk has moved out of the B bomb side to cover that as Dupree looks with the AWP into the tunnels from the plateau on B.
Oh, the sound. Oh dear. It was beautiful from Magisk, but this time he won't get any frags. Can the damage be capitalized on? Previously, Device got a kill through the smoke before they started to cross, and maybe that's deterred them, and maybe that's why they're going towards the tunnel instead. There's already a Molotov there, and the smoke is perfectly timed, but it's Dupree with the AWP. Maybe the AWP was a mistake after all. Man advantage now for Dream Eaters. And there's no grenades for the retake and 2 AWP, so this has become extremely awkward for Astralis. Who knows, if we had an AWP there, it could have played close to the smoke with the timing, but such is life.
Yeah, and they made awkward work before. They'll actually get rid of one of those AWPs and see if what they can do. Glaive ready to burst through that window. There's no flashbangs to work with, though. That's really annoying. No incentive. Something's like 4 players set up on the side. Zipex will take down Kinky on the trade, but the numbers game is in favor of Dream Eaters, so there's not really more that they can do. So costly. It's on 15 HP, gets shot in the face, and Dream Eaters will escape. So 5 guys a chance and a couple more. And that's not bad from them so far. If you consider the stolen round from Astralis, you know, this really could be a much tighter scoreline as well.
Astralis have been playing the exploitation game on their CT side, and I'm very interested to see. I actually heard that in my speakers, in my headphones. I'm very interested to see what the second half will be like, because I feel like, at least in the minors, it was the big weakness for Dream Eaters with the CT side. But again, it has vastly improved, but they are against Astralis, and they've been looking pretty damn comfortable, Astralis, on this CT side with the forward plays they've been making. The flags going through B-halls, going out long doors and so on. Their predictions putting 4 towards long. 2 rounds remain. We'll see if Dream Eaters can keep it close. Again, best of 1. So much opportunity for them and no real pressure. It's got nothing to lose with the teams they're going up against. Zipex and Glaive towards long. Short is open, but you expect the T's to spend time and utility taking this. So we go, got the flashbangers again. This time they swing with 2 players. In that previous round, Device got an easy pick off after that flashbang came in, so there's some adjustment there from the Dream Eaters.
And Kinky trying to keep it honest in terms of the flanks, because that has been a problem from Astralis. Oh, Dupree, he finds the timing. He listens to that, those grenades getting primed, and he knows that that's his timing to peak, and he'll be absolutely correct. Picks up a kill, and now they've lost 2 before they can even make the push into the A side. This is an absolute disaster here for Dream Eaters. They couldn't execute the push, and they've lost pretty much everybody.
Yeah, this is beautiful from Astralis. They are really exploiting Dream Eaters with these plays. We'll come back to it with more time. Yeah, there will go down in unison. As the grenades were deployed in a mid position and there was a push through middle doors, Glaive pushed through long doors at the same time and took out the player who was throwing grenades towards long. So they both got caught off. When you're being taken out like that by the CT side, what on earth are you going to do? Well, there's only 1 round to worry about now for Dream Eaters, and I think it is a worry the way the CTs are playing and pushing things at the same time. They're punishing very telegraphed Dream Eaters plays, it seems. Sonic's been doing his homework.
Yeah, it's going to be a mid push coming in from Astralis down into the tunnels as well. We haven't really seen that from them too much also. 2 players set up around this position. Dave, it's going to spawn for the trade. It's successful, and they'll fall back. It's both Dupree and Device trying to commit into this. Surely Dream Eaters will not expect Dupree to now be here. Device can play the baiting game.
This is a setup they had previously before Glaive went down, but he got a bit hungry, it seems. And Dream Eaters slowing things down. But honestly, even now, how do you make plays as Dream Eaters? Everything, all your setups, they're just pushing through doors and just shooting you while you've got grenades in your hands across the map. What can you feel comfortable doing, even in a 5 versus 4 versus Astralis?
Well, right now, Astralis still don't know if it's going to be a B play or like what's happening, because Dream Eaters could just be chilling in the upper tunnels right now, for all Astralis know, and using players towards the A side of the map to fake. So we'll have the information play from Dupree. He's going to look up the stairs. He's going to see nothing. The timing here is insane. The timing is so... Dupree just checked upper tunnels. He saw nothing, and now they see all the presence on A long. Astralis have no idea about this B push. What a beautiful fake timing from Dream Eaters. Play this one perfectly. Forrester gets the kill. This will only serve to sell this even more. Forrester annihilates 2 players on A now, and Astralis are going to be very surprised to realize eventually the bomb is on B.
This is absolutely ridiculous. Dream Eaters are playing well above their pace. Biggest thus to a full rotation from Astralis. They have absolutely outmaneuvered them. This is so impressive. Again, considering all the pressure from Astralis to have these mid-round call like that, where have they got all this from? Dream Eaters, Dupree now 1 versus 3, looking for an ace to bring this round back. Krad's pretty heavily damaged. There's no more grenades in that bomb. It's been quite the bait from Dream Eaters. That is a much-deserved 6th round from them. Fantastic stuff as we move to half-time.
Oh, what a T-side. Could have even as they look ready and raring to go. We'll see if they can bring that form into the next half. Stay with us. We'll see you after this break. Welcome back, ladies and gents. Our Dream Eaters going to do it again. They did it to Vitality. They did it to NRG. Are they going to do Astralis dirty as well? Because they had a great first half. They showed us a lot of great executions, good team play, good strategy, and they were hitting their shots. And they've made it for, they made that first half really exciting and showing Astralis that they are dangerous. But they are trailing 3 rounds, and they're on the CT side. It's a very different beast playing CT does too.
Yeah, but boy, they just keep shocking Dream Eaters. I just can't believe how much they've improved. I mean, yes, Astralis did really outplay them in a lot of those rounds, but just from what we saw from the minor, it's like 2 completely different teams sometimes. They've got it all to do on their CT side. Pop flash through the doors will reveal some information in terms of the Glocks being fired, but it is a pistol round, so nothing too crazy is happening. Dream Eaters playing a reactive game here for the most part. Sviat's got one more flash in the hole and a defuse kit. And there's a flash for Astralis, so he'll be falling back. Just establishing some control, denying a little information, putting Dream Eaters in slightly worse positions. 2 smokes, there's 2 decoys here for Astralis. I do wonder, are these decoys, are they going to use them for some kind of fake grenade setup or fake flashes later, or do they just buy them for fun?
That's a very good question. Astralis have that cat control we talked about. This looks absolutely like every default would look in the terms of the setup, the topography of Astralis players. Speedak taking one to the face. Never nice. Good win for Astralis early on. They've got Molotov, a Molotov and 2 smokes, so all sorts you can do with that. Ooh, they'll be getting the smoke towards the corner on A, towards B as well. They actually are going to fake. They're going for a fake here, and it's actually going to pull away. Device here's the running Kinky. That's a great shot, and that is so needed as well. Oh my goodness, Vina comes back in as well. Kinky, long range. My God, what is this? Dream Eaters annihilating this push. Astralis' fake was working. The rotation was happening. Dream Eaters responding, and it's Kinky all the way.
Such is the nature of a pistol round. So I saw what was happening with those Glocks. Magis was waiting to put the lurk smoke in towards the B bomb site, which he deployed. The other smoke was thrown near the kind of the brick switch stick out near the truck in CT spawn towards B, and behind or into that smoke they threw one of the decoys to suggest that they're actually pushing the B bomb site. So that was the purpose of the decoys. So far so good with that, but getting pops in the head tends to be a problem in pistol rounds. It's a pop flash from Kinky. He's got some support. Always nice if you can get a CT into the pits, but that will come more into play in the buy rounds, I'm sure. Anti-eco territory for Dream Eaters. Astralis have bought absolutely nothing, or they have nothing if I missed a grenade. 5 Glocks on road with not much else. Again, this is about fragging. This is about just making Dream Eaters spend an extra $4,000 to $5,000 if they can get a frag on even one player. Sviat's gone the cheap route with a 5-7, so well, actually he's got no money in the hole, so I suppose he dropped for one of his teammates. Minute 10 on the clock. Astralis have managed to take short with no utility, and now it really is that gauntlet run. Take a bullet for the president, get the bomb towards the site, try and get a short plant if you can. Speedak actually has basically no support. Kinky's long, but he's got no flashbangs, so if Astralis' timing is right, they might get a bomb plant out of this, but maybe they're going to get devastated by the HG, but it's a lot worse. Can they plant the bomb?
It's not looking likely. There's a available for Sviat. Speedak, I should say. And
what does that word mean, Dan? I don't know what it means.
That's beautiful. Really well handled there. Obviously no utilities to support Astralis' push, and the fact that Astralis buy nothing, absolutely zero there, not even a flashbang, I think shows a respect that they believe that Dream Eaters will not make a mistake. And also that they want everything in their buy rounds to contest Dream Eaters. Speedak on the AWP straight away. All those frags to the MP9 certainly helps the money situation. We get a cap boost coming in from Dream Eaters. Kinky with a very fast timing, as will Speedak. Here's the jump, here's the boost. Here is the check for it. No, they don't. Missed opportunity there for Speedak. Oftentimes in the default, a lot of T-sides will actually go for the boost behind the boxes, which clears that position, that boost, but Astralis didn't go for it, perhaps not expecting it to be there so quickly. And I wonder if that jump was heard there by the Astralis players. It might have been. Let's see how deep they go.
Again, if you're not hiding the fact as a team that you're going through mid doors, you can spray these positions, the elevated position, the position standing behind the box. There are lineups to shoot somebody in the head, and no one ever does it though. StarLadder trying to hold on to the lead at the moment. Dreamy is threatening to tie things up. Again, best of one, you just never know. And Dream Eaters continue to surprise. They are ready for an A play, it seems. If there's a Molotov, though, for the bomb site, then Sviat may be in a weird spot. Currently sitting on the plant for long. 40 seconds remain. You can see the bombs making its way towards the B bomb site. Again, we've got Crad in that position, boosted up. But if there are two smokes in the mid area, then he might not be of so much use. And Dream Eaters are going to be really out of position. Boris has only got a UMP on the B bomb site. It could hardly be weaker for Dream Eaters. Trying to avoid the flashback. He's going to get deleted immediately. And Glaive can just wait for the rotation. Doesn't look like they put any smokes in that mid position. So there'll be angles for Dream Eaters, but that'll test them even more by surprise. There's less time to post up and start rotating because you don't see those grenades, and indeed they're just going to say, okay, hands up, we're out of position, we're not going to throw all our toys in the bin, we're going to go and save on A long.
Yeah, you like to see that. I mean, sometimes you just have to do this. It's, again, you know, very similar to Inferno. There are the rotations are so incredibly punishing. I mean, that actually just goes to show as well, like, how important utility is in delaying your opponents, because if you do get enough delay, then you buy time for that rotation, and the round can be we're going to give it up, and that's what Dream Eaters will do. Astralis have to be cautious here as well. They have no money. Get a cheap frag. I think almost. Ooh, oh my goodness. You can tell Glaive knows his angles, but he doesn't have time to get that one. So, all right. Astralis picking that one up. Dream Eaters going for that save. What is the response now from Dream Eaters? It is hard to have a response on a Dust 2. It's difficult to take the initiative. It's not a map that offers too much in the way of decent options to see the aggression. Here comes a one take from Astralis. And a challenge from Dream Eaters. And that is Yes taking down the previous traded immediately. It looks like Kinky will give up on this position with Speedak as well.
What do Astralis do now? Still showing presence towards the long positions, Xebex outside long doors, just keeping an eye on top mid in case anything happens there. And Speedak looks to be going to hold on to the short position. Standard for the CTs, you lose long, you take short, you lose short, you take long. You need to hold something, otherwise you have no hope of a retake. Crad spots one into spawn actually, almost getting blocked by his teammate. That would have been brutal. There's no one in B for the time being. I don't know if Glaive is posting up an angle on the platform. No, he's just keeping an eye on everything at the moment. You're going to get smoked off from the B bomb site. So what do you do now, Astralis? They were spotted in T spawn. They still got 4 alive, and there's still a question mark for Dream Eaters towards that long position, which will keep them towards A. You can see Astralis making their way over. Now, Speedak was really deep towards that short position, but now we've got 3 CTs wondering what's happening towards long. Will Astralis have the timing towards B?
Well, Forrest have the right timing as well. There's a smoke grenade. Forced to peek there. That smoke's not going to do too much at this point. He was alone, of course. They can just run straight through this. They have no choice but to do so, and they'll find an empty bomb site. Very nice. And position where they have to save this. They don't have any utility to break back into this, and there's simply too many players in Astralis alive, so they have to give this one up. Fortunately, they have some forward positions around middle, so they're not going to be caught by any flanks or anything like that. Sometimes you can get, when you go for these saves, you can get caught by a late lurk. That will not be the case here, so they get to keep these guns alive, which is nice, but at the same time, they're losing rounds. So that's going to start to be a problem very soon.
At least Crad can get rid of the FAMAS. But indeed, Astralis moved to 11. The second round for them in the second half. Again, if we ignore the pistol, it's basically 2-0. Not the biggest score in the world, so we need some more evidence to see where momentum will take us. Now, do Dream Eaters have an aggressive play in the bag? Will we see them go for a short boost with Speedak or something along those lines? Speedak can drop, well, people can drop for the other 2 players, so they can buy around what they have, and they will. Astralis full of success at the moment. Dupree is still carrying a Mac 10. We'll see if he chooses to upgrade. He is a bit short though, so maybe they'll keep the money together. Attack pause from Dream Eaters, their first of the game. On the scoreboard, most people are turning up at the moment. Magisk is slightly ahead with his B action, 15 for 9 at the moment. Zipex and Sviat are at the other end at present. Sviat is 4 for 14. He's not having a great time, but we'll see if we can make the difference on the CT side.
You can see that Device, kind of the AWP matchup, and Device definitely having the impact as an AWPer, as you would expect. Speedak, I don't think we've seen him on the AWP quite as much as, like, you know, you'd expect on that T half, and I think that's why we're seeing the stats be so weighted like that. But of course, we're going to see a lot more AWPing from him on the CT side. Crap picking it up as well. A tap hand, there's a fast push coming in. Does he get 3 quick ones on the defense for 3 meters? They've shut it down as Charlotte's tried to shock and all. They try to speed up that pace. They try to catch them off guard, but it is them who get caught. And Dream Eaters, this is not over just yet. They need this round. They need to not lose any players. Their money is exhausted. They must survive.
Yeah, it's interesting if they just threw this into, or maybe it was because of the timeout. If they were expecting something funky, like a hold of long or something, they might have the right position. Back into the game. But just yet, the 2 versus 3 now is doable. Glaive goes to reload. Magisk taking damage, taking even more than that. Glaive knows the CTs have got to be towards the A bomb site, but is he able to cross towards bomb site? Sorry, is he able to cross towards A? Shows some presence towards the middle doors. 48 seconds to hide his position, but what are his intentions? The longer he waits, the less CTs he'll have to engage. Rather than 3 towards B, he might be 1 towards A. But he will need to cross. 2 AWPs on deck for Dream Eaters, however, it's Kinky on the A site with an AK-47. 25 seconds. Kinky, 44 HP. You can see him hiding there, so I assume his teammate's got the angle. Oh, he's going to walk straight into it. And that will be round number 9 for Dream Eaters.
I was trying to think exactly what Astralis is trying to catch there. One of the things that has entered the meta, and we saw Astralis do it, is, you know, having 4 players on the A long position at the beginning of the round, we're leaving just 1 on B. But if you go for that kind of a round, what you're doing as the CT side is you're leaving middle completely open. And so I think that, you know, fast timing in middle is probably more appropriate as a response to that. So I don't think that's what they were trying to counter-strat. I think it was just, they just wanted to throw in a fast B. That does work out quite well sometimes. And we see a default setup from long take from Astralis. They're not committing too heavily into the play, stuck in the corner there. Goes to Incendiary, he's in trouble. Smoke does come out to Khan's way, and that's Dream Eaters winning long. That's important. A lot of the utility was invested by both sides, but if you hold on to it, you're definitely happy. Device, maybe it's all about the bait. Oh, it might just work out. Kinky, don't cross there. You definitely would regret that, and you don't need to do it. And so he won't get curious, and that means he gets to keep his life.
You don't want to be too curious as a CT. The more curious you are, the more opportunities you're giving your opponent to take you out of the game, to put your entire team at a disadvantage. So you got to be really careful. Krat's position is quite interesting. He's in the middle of the entrance to B with an AWP. A very forward position where he could hop back if he's lucky with 1 shot. But maybe that allows Dream Eaters to have more focus towards the A bomb site. Just under a minute on the clock. A timely incendiary from the CT side. Now, looking at the utilities, Sviat is really important. You can see him on the radar, number 9. He's got 2 flashes, so if Speedak needs assistance on the A bomb site, he can throw these flashes behind his teammate. So Astralis eat it, but Speedak can face at the same time and just keep shooting. That would really limit the push, but these smokes will be a problem. He's going to close one up himself. That will have with Molotovs and so on. Maybe there's a gimmick as well. Kinky's on the flankers instead, and Sviat's made his way onto the bomb site. The CT flashes have come and gone. Running now, 20 seconds. That is a huge headshot from the free, but Sviat still needs to be dealt with. Looking to spray it down to the pistol. The bomb is still with Magisk. If he's got that frag, who knows?
Yeah, that is some key kills coming out of Astralis. I don't know how Dupree got that headshot behind the box. He must have just swung out for the pre-fire there. With the P250, gets the headshot, but gets eliminated. And Astralis, that, I mean, they survived with 3, but that was very marginal. Zipex and Dupree coming out huge to save that one. And wow, what a situation. It's not really left Dream Eaters of any money. And I wanted to talk very quickly about Krad's position in the upper tunnels. As you mentioned, you highlighted that he was halfway in the tunnel, looking into the upper tunnel with the AWP. And one of the reasons why that's strong is because you get an off angle, and if there's T's in that tunnel, they will be walking. You can be almost 100% sure that they'll be walking, so it's a very
Big pushes from Dream Eaters. It is an eco round for them. Kinky's got a HE, but he's not really in range to throw it. The flashbang's there, but can the T's protect the weapon? They can for the time being, but it will be collected by Krad. And there's a HE to create some space as well. Sviat pushing in the meantime. Both these players are low, both Dupree and Magisk. He could get 2 kills out of this, but he's got to pull his gun back out again. Oh, he might not check the angle. What does Magisk choose to do? Sviat's going race carring towards T-spawn. He is the last player though, so that's a lot of information. However, it's a bit quickly collected. Magisk with some good timing. That could have been a little more hairy, but here we are. Astralis now with a few rounds of comfort. 13-9 will feel a bit more comfortable for them. It was quite nervous to watch, bearing in mind they'll be a big favourite for this game. 2% Dream Eaters to the 98% for Astralis and the Pick'ems.
It's not an ideal situation for Dream Eaters on the buy. They'll be with an MP9. They don't have enough utility. It's a really awkward position because you don't really want to give Astralis that 14 and you can get the AWP out on Speedax, so they're opting to go for one kit on Sviat. So again, not ideal. My god, Device with 2 big tags through the doors. Extreme damage done. That is a huge problem. Astralis looking to get towards Catwalk quite quickly in this round. Now again, you know, once you have Catwalk, you can threaten A, you can go for B. It's really difficult to know exactly what you're up to as far as CDs are concerned when you pressure like this. See that smoke and that molly will deny the AWP anything from that position. And they're trying to get Dream Eaters to throw some grenades in. That's what those grenades are about. The counter utility, but there they go. Back with the first one. He needs to get more, but he can't be too deep. He's so careful with this. That goes down. Very difficult shot there. Sviat cannot connect it. Oh, is he got a Lenny lineups here? Looking for a peek.
Oh my god.
Jumping shots with the MP9. That's the gun to do it with. All of a sudden, it's the 2 versus 2. Not bad. Dream Eaters have a chance.
Yeah, but Device has the angle in CT spawn. He was flanking with the AWP, taking other players. That's an important Device closing the angle, but he's running distraction while he's getting the kills in the meantime. Ring around the rosy. Speedax might be in a safe situation now. He doesn't have a kit, so does he just walk away? Maybe there's one on the site. Looks like he wants to. Sound cues. Beautiful shot from him. But where is he? Quite a good position. Beautiful laugh. He could have been anywhere. 14-9. Dream Eaters lose everything.
Yeah, very unfortunate there for Speedax. He is extremely fast. And I think he was gambling, like betting it all on the last player being Gandalf there. You do have to do that in these clutch situations. You do have to just play off a feeling and be 100% focused on one possibility, narrow it down. You can't check everything. So here we go, 14-9. Dream Eaters will be having to play against overtime, it seems, as they opt to go for the full save in this round, more or less. A couple pistols purchased and 1 flashbang, that's it. And they stack towards the A-bomb side. So Astralis with a spread across the map, not willing to risk anything too crazy.
Dupree's creeping in on B, just as Sviat makes his way through the doors with 1 flash. There's plenty of movement in that short position now to be taken out. No flash for him. Oh, maybe not with this Device. Okay. Well, he's got a lot of help from Glaive and Fairness. That must look crazy from Device's POV while watching it, but I mean, for him, obviously, it's more important than for us. Match point and plenty of them for Astralis. Maybe the last buy for Dream Eaters. Let's have a look. Outside of the pistol, Dream Eaters have won 1 round in this half so far.
Yeah.
So, obviously pistol and eco are put together. So beyond that, from the buy rounds onwards, they've won 1 round. That's where you measure their success. So they've got a lot to do to go to overtime.
Yeah, the T sides are so difficult. It's a fast timing down soon. Sviat is in a position here. He gets himself to very nice. Looked like a quick scope from Device there as he goes for the trade. Device picks up another one. And now all of a sudden there's problems here for Dream Eaters. They've lost B, they've lost North. Sviat trying to make his way across. The flames obscuring Xipex's position. The scope definitely helping Xipex out there against Speedak. Kinky in from the flank, but just missing Xipex. He'll slip away at the last moment there. Kinky in the 1 versus 3 to save the day here for Dream Eaters. He knows Xipex is lurking around the position. Xipex knows he's there. That is brutal there from Kinky, but still so much to be done.
He's picked up a Molotov, which may be crucial, trying to bait for information. By construction. Device will do the job, man. This will pop out if necessary. Lovely 2 versus 1 at the end there. Astralis come out of this one strong. Some nervous rounds. Dream Eaters always taking people by surprise, but Astralis able to weather that storm.
Absolutely. Again, this is Dust 2 is a map that is, I mean, every map is very different from half to half. We saw a good T side from Dream Eaters. Honestly, I was very impressed with what they brought against the likes of Astralis who at their best, a top 2 team in the
Criticism that they've come under recently is trying to find a great way to open up their major. Sonic's haircut looking really damn sharp as well, so props for that.
Yeah, he's looking good.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a fantastic game. Again, you just don't know what to do with Dream Eaters long term, because obviously they're a huge underdog, especially at this part of the tournament, but they
Wolf! What the بس بندے ہو گئے